والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, and welcome to this episode of Beauties of Islam. I'm Yusuf Estes, and for the next few minutes I'd like to talk to you about one of the biggest of the beauties of Islam that has struck me as being probably the best of answers to the human being. When people come to this point or conjunction in their life, and they say, why are we here? How did we get here? What's it all about? And what is the purpose of my life? And that's what we want to talk about on this episode of the Beauties of Islam. What is the purpose behind everything? First and foremost is to establish that there is a God. Now, we have done a number of programs about that to prove, even scientifically, beyond any shadow of a doubt, Allah exists. There have been scientists who have also come to this same conclusion. But then there are always going to be those who will say that, yes, but according to my logic, I don't understand. I don't see how you can believe in a God. According to my logic. In our other